Hello Cancer, welcome to your reading for September 2025. This is Artemis, Oracle and Tarot, a space for those walking the moonlit path. Seekers looking to explore and integrate the divine masculine in ways that feel authentic, embodied and whole. This work centers on masculinity, but it's not exclusive to men. Masculinity lives in all of us, regardless of our gender, orientation or identity. Many of us carry unconscious, wounded or toxic expressions of masculinity, and this space is here to offer guidance and reflection so we can meet that energy with openness and sincerity. So whether you're male, female, non-binary or something beautifully in between, you are welcome here, and this is exactly where you're meant to be. My name is Adrian, or you can call me Aid, the creator of Artemis Tarot and Artemis Oracle decks, which you'll see today. These decks came about out of my own dark night journey as a gay man who felt spiritually stuck and disconnected from divinity after painful early experiences with religion. I learned that whether something is scientifically real or not is almost besides the point, because if we experience as real, it has power. It can hinder us or it can help. So I chose to change my relationship to spirituality into something that actually helps. Cancer, let's see what we've got happening in the cards for you for the month of September. I'm using some Nag Champa incense today. Love the smell of this one. Just helps set that vibe. Cool. All right. So the spread that I'm going to be doing for you today is called the Healed Heart Spread. It's one that I channeled myself after doing some pretty deep shadow work. And it follows the star shape of the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. So for those of you initiated in the practice of ritual magic, you might be familiar with that. But essentially it's a ritual that we use to banish the elements that we don't want from our body in order to kind of achieve a state of sort of regulation. These kind of ritual practices, these activities, whether or not you kind of believe in magic, it's a little bit like what I said earlier. If you treat it as real, your body responds to it as real. And I personally have found that particular practice really good in terms of helping to identify stuff that's kind of stuck in my body, and then use kind of like a process of ritual to sort of like say goodbye to it, essentially. So I'm going to start by picking just some oracle cards for you. All right, let's see. Okay, drawn Thor in the background or history. Thor is focused, intent, righteous anger, and justice. So that might be a situation in the past where you have had to draw boundaries, or you've had to stand up for something that, like an injustice. And Thor in the upright position is kind of a really positive indicator of sticking to your guns and, non-toxic masculinity, I suppose. So when a person has used reason and compassion to determine, their position on something, then they have that sort of ability to, stridently kind of advocate for their position respectfully, I guess. All right, in the current oracle, we've got Set. So Set is an interesting character in, I guess, Egyptian religion or ancient religion, I should say. In terms of he's a bit of a mixed character in that he did betray his family, his brother, and then he himself was disposed of by his nephew, I believe. But in doing so, it allowed for, the rebirth of, the sun god, which, kind of assured the ongoing continuation of, the ancient Egyptians. So it says here that this is necessary chaos, fierce protection, and boundary breaking. So with Thor in the past, it's a little bit like there was a need to set boundaries, and now you might be finding that perhaps those boundaries don't serve you anymore, or there's parts of them that need to be let go of. And this can be really destabilizing sometimes because when we've kind of learned to kind of go about life in a certain way, and we have kind of come to the conclusion that certain things are good for us, we often don't think to look at them again and again and again to kind of, really ask ourselves whether or not it is still serving us. And so set here is kind of a question for you to look back at things that you may have put in place. Boundaries, gym workout, rules around working days or anything like that, and just kind of ask yourself, like, is that still serving you today? All right, and in the future, that one wants to come through. All right, we've got Chiron in the reverse. So this speaks to, I guess, resistance around shadow work, individuation, and addressing our most painful wound as our greatest gift that we have to give to the world. This could be in the form of a passion project that you've been wanting to do, or a conversation that you've been, really wanting to have, but sort of feeling unable or unequipped to. And I guess what Chiron here is encouraging is that you see that for what it is and don't let it hold you back, because ultimately no one can do individuation for you. No one can do shadow work for you. We can only do that ourselves. And that's why things like tarot can be really helpful, astrology too, because they help us see things that we might not otherwise want to look at. All right, so that's the oracle cards. We'll now move into the Healed Heart spread using the tarot deck. I typically use a pendulum to help select the cards, so I'll be doing that today. If anyone has any experience doing tarot and has a way that they like to share, that how they kind of do their card selection, I'd be keen to hear it, because I'm always fascinated to learn from others, how they go about their process and ritual. Mine is all pretty... I like order. Let's just leave it at that, because I don't want to say anything that's mean to myself. All right, so we'll split these into kind of 4 rough piles. And given what we've discussed so far, I'm going to go with the rose quartz pendulum. Just ask anything that isn't here to serve our highest good to just thanks, but we don't need you. All right. No. That's an even bigger no. That's the one. All right. So we only need 6 cards for this next bit, so I'll give these ones one last little might end up editing these bits out, but for now I'm gonna just like talk to you as though you're sitting in front of me and we were doing this for real, not just for like over the digital realm. I think kind of seeing the process of how it unfolds is part of the beauty as well. All right, so we've got 3 more piles, so I'll get our rose quartz again. So no, that looks like it. So no, thank you. Oh. Well, that's got to be significant when the little flower lands on set, so we're just going to leave that there. All right, let's get rid of those. So the way that the Healed Heart Tarot spread looks like, it's a star. And as I mentioned, it's in the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. So we start in the bottom left, which is the earth position. And this also signifies the card that kind of is either supporting or challenging you right now. Then at the very top, at the apex of the star, we've got the spirit position, which kind of represents what the higher self wants you to know. In the bottom right, we've got the fire position, which is how others might be viewing you. And then over here, we've got the air position, and that is on the left-hand side of the star, at least it's on my left, and that's the receptive side. So it's asking you to be open to receiving this. And then on the right-hand side, on the active side, we've got the water position, and that's kind of like, I call it, if you need to fight with this. We obviously don't want people fighting, but it's kind of advising you, like, what's your tactic to use, or what's going to be something that's going to help you rather than hold you back. And then in the middle, that's the soul position, and you know what's in your heart right now. So that's why it's called the Healed Heart Tarot spread. So what we'll do from here is we'll go through one by one each of the positions and give you a bit of an understanding of what's going on. So in the bottom left, in the earth position, we have got, sorry, I'm just taking notes as well. Earth position, we have 8 of cups upright. So the 8 of Cups is all about walking away from heartbreak or difficult situation, grief. And it kind of signifies that sort of turning point, at which point you've made the quiet but decisive departure from something that has kind of physically or materially sustained you but no longer nourishes you. So you might be walking away from a job. It might be a relationship, routine, or environment that's technically not working, and it's kind of spiritually draining you. This is, you know, a literal step, and, you know, one that you might have already kind of come to this conclusion, or for some of you, it might be one where, like, it just feels like you're kind of always up against a wall, but you haven't really in your own head sort of thought about, well, maybe it's time to kind of, you know, bring things to a close. And I think this card, you know, speaks really well to both Set and Chiron in the Oracle cards. You know, Set kind of, as I mentioned, speaks to that, you know, necessary chaos. And so chaos can feel really destabilizing to us, right? And if we refuse to look at our childhood wounds, and if we refuse to kind of think about the ways in which we might be behaving on sort of autopilot instead of like really using our intuition and also our reason and intellect to kind of look at situations with discernment, then yeah, it can feel really, really difficult. So that's why that shadow work part comes in. So this is, I think, a really positive card. I always look at the Eight of Cups as a positive card because it's kind of saying that actually, you know, you've done the part of deciding that you need to walk away. And for those who hadn't come to that yet, you know, hopefully this read can kind of give you that opportunity to reflect about the things that mightn't be serving you and what you might want to do from here. So from Earth, we banish to Spirit what we no longer want with us on Earth. And so the next card that we go to is up here, which is the High Priestess. So we have the High Priestess in the Spirit position. What your higher self wants you to know. So this could be about paying attention to dreams or like just symbols in general. And also to be really aware of your intuition. You might be experiencing heightened intuition at this time. Essentially, I think in our modern day, we've really devalued, I guess, intuition and the role that it plays in like most mammals in terms of sensing without necessarily processing intellectually. And I think, you know, we've all had that gut feeling where something hasn't felt right and we've listened to it and it's, you know, served us really well. And conversely, we've probably all had that situation where we knew we shouldn't do something and we did it anyway. I know that. I can raise my hand there. The fact that she's upright in the highest, in the Spirit position is a really good sign. It speaks to you know, your higher self saying that, you know, you have the gift and you know that you have the gift. And so put your trust in it. It's balanced and effective in you because you're seeing things clearly. So dream work could be really helpful for you, as well as, you know, doing your own kind of tarot or any sort of creative work as well can really help High Priestess energy kind of come out. We then go from Spirit at the top down to Fire here, which is also how others can perceive us. And this is interesting as we see the Empress in reverse in the Fire position. And I say it's interesting because these are kind of like the two divine feminine archetypes in the major arcana. One speaks to, I guess, receptivity, intuition, and I guess spiritualism. And then the Empress kind of speaks more to nurturing abundance and productivity, but not in that kind of capitalist, late stage capitalist sense, but more in terms of like bounty and, you know, high earth energy, kind of pentacles energy. The fact that it's reversed in the, you know, Fire position, which is about how others might perceive us, they may be kind of viewing you as one who has disconnected from, I guess, traditional senses of employment, or perhaps have drawn boundaries around, you know, traditional kind of caregiving roles because, you know, you may have felt that they were overburdened in one direction over another. And it's always important to remember again that this is perceptions of others onto us. And so you might not feel that at all, but it could be how you're being viewed. So it's really interesting to see that, especially in opposition to, you know, where Spirit is telling you to lean into that intuitive energy and, you know, do all of the kind of dream work, basically, you know, tuning into your psychic gifts. So, yeah, something to be mindful of. We then go up to be receptive to in the air position, and you've got the Eight of Pentacles, which is typically about vocation or kind of your, it's work, but it's not work for the sake of paying bills. It's work for the sake of kind of feeding your soul. For me, this project was exactly that. you kind of get to a stage where you're like, I don't know that I can live this life of just doing the 9 to 5 grind. I don't think escaping it entirely is ever possible, but at some stage, we wake up to this illusion that the material world isn't everything, and that our soul needs more than that in order for us to feel kind of any sense of kind of regulation. And so for you, that might be taking a step back slightly from, perhaps your day job in order to go back to doing that thing that you loved doing as a kid. Maybe it was singing in choir, maybe it was in theatre, maybe it was playing Sudoku, I don't know. But for each of you, have a think. And it often is tied to childhood because, when we're born and when we're kids, we haven't learned all of the inhibitions that we'll eventually come to feel shame over as adults. And so the shadow work, again, is about undoing that learned behavior and rediscovering who it is that we are at our core, because ultimately that's what's going to keep us happiest and healthiest in the long run. All right, as we move over to, I love to see this here for you, Cancer. I'm a Cancer too, just quietly, so I'd love to see this here for me. If you have to fight with this in the water position, the sun doesn't fight, the sun just is. The sun is radiant. This is basically just live your best life, fam. Let the haters gonna hate. The best revenge, I always say, is just living well. You are coming into your prime in some way, shape or form, whether it's your career height, whether it's your highlight of the year. I absolutely see radiance and something really exciting just around the corner for you, Cancer. So think about what that might be, and make sure that you direct conscious energy towards it every day, because good things don't just kind of happen to us and fall in our lap. We need to start doing them. We need to start doing one small thing towards them every day and bring that closer to us. So as we move to the final position, which is the soul, what's in your heart right now, we find justice. Justice can speak to obviously legal matters, but also it can speak to family disputes, or it can speak to even just within your own kind of internal cosmos, a sense of no longer holding certain parts like up to ransom, or sort of blaming over kind of counterproductive behavior. I know that I personally used to do this a lot. I would beat myself up when I didn't go to the gym 5 days a week, or I, failed to do every single thing on my to-do list by Friday afternoon. We have enough judgment cast on us from outside. The last thing that we need is to be kind of casting that judgment on ourselves from the inside. So what I'm kind of seeing here is a coming to balance, because that's what the Justice card kind of represents. I don't know if you can see the scales there, but it's very much giving that Virgo energy. I believe we're still in Virgo season for probably 10 more days, which means that it's a good time to reflect on, like I said earlier, self-care, patterns, routines, all the kinds of things that help us to maintain balance and find ways to engage with the stuff that we want to in a mindful way, and help us get through the stuff that is perhaps a little less joyful, but necessary in the long run. All right, that's all for the reading. Well, that's all I've got for you today. So let that settle and rest and relax through it. Not everything needs to be understood at once. All of the cards that we used today, the Artemis Tarot and Artemis Oracle cards, were designed and created by me. You can find them on my website at www.artemispalimpsest.com. That link's below in the description. And on the site, you can explore the 44 divine masculine archetype profiles that comprise the deck, as well as find links to buy them. So do inquire about a one-on-one personal reading if you'd like to go deeper. And also keep an eye out for videos starting this week. I'll be doing one deep dive archetype video each week where I'll explore the symbolism, art, and creative process behind developing these. If this reading resonated, please like, comment, subscribe, or share it with someone who might need it. It really helps this work find the people it's meant to serve. This is Artemis, Oracle and Tarot, divine what can't be seen by day, and behold with new perspective that which stalked in the night. I will see you back here next month.